Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Haribhav Vaghere, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Maharaja Jawahirlal Shinde Mahavidyalaya, Srigonda, District Ahmednagar. Our college is affiliated to Savitribai Phule University of Pune. And the main aim of this video is only for educational purpose. In our Savitribai Phule Pune University, the syllabus is a choice-based credit system for FIBSc and SYBSc. In the last video, we have completed many chapters, many articles in this online lecture series. In today, we are going to learn about a very important topic from Botany SYBSc, paper number 2nd, that is plant physiology. In that plant physiology, last time we have completed the first topic, that is introduction to plant physiology, and after completion of that topic we have started the second topic, that is absorption of water. In that absorption of water, we have completed the role of water in plants. Then we know that water plays a vital role in the growth and development of the plant. Then after that, the main role of water, then it is one of the major constituent of the protoplasm. Then it gives the turbidity. Then it has a different biochemical activities. Water plays a vital role in biochemical activities. Then it is essential for reduction of carbon dioxide. Water is also required for the elongation phase during cell growth, that is called cell elongation phase. In this way, we have completed the role of water in a plant life. In today's video, we are going to learn about mechanism of water absorption with respect to crop plants. Means how water are absorbed in crop plants. Water are required for the living plant. It may be crop plant or it may be wild plant. But in our syllabus, which is the mechanism of absorption of water with respect to crop plants, is a small article, and we are going to learn about that article. Then we know that root hairs act as a water absorbing organ. We know that in plant there are two main organs. Some organs they are underground, some organs they are aerial. And the organ which is underground, that organ is called root. And root structure, we have studied about the root structure. There is a cap, root cap is there, elongation region is there. There are some old root hairs, that old root hairs are removed, then another root hairs are again formed with by mitosis, meiosis, whatever be cell elongation phases. Then root hairs act as a water absorbing organ, we know very well. Then that organ is come in contact with the soil, and in that soil there is a water, and that water with different nutrients, that is macronutrients, micronutrients, different minerals that are present in the soil and that come in contact with the root, and by diffusion is one of the important activity of the process which is found in plant, and by diffusion waters enter in the root hairs. Water enters in the root hair to balance the concentration of water inside the cell sap. कंसंट्रेशन मेंटेन करने के लिए, बैलेंस रखने के लिए ये डिफ्यूजन होता है. Then what is the exact framework of water absorption? How exact framework is there? How water are absorbed and how water enters in the root here? How it enters inside the root hairs, how it enters in the xylem cells, and after entering the xylem cells, how that xylem cells reach towards the leaf or the aerial parts of the plants. And root hair have been explained by two approaches. Then how it enters inside the root hairs, and there are to explain these approaches, there are two approaches. First approach is the active absorption. This is the active absorption. And second approach is passive absorption. In the last video, we have studied what is active absorption, what is passive absorption, what is the difference between active and passive absorption. In active absorption, root plays very vital role, whereas in passive absorption, there is a aerial parts taking part in the passive absorption, and especially transpiration is there, and with the help of this transpiration, the passive absorption takes place. Then in active water absorption, we are going to learn it first, that is active water absorption. And water is absorbed by the activity of root. Active absorption, root is the main part, root is the main active factor of root or forces developed in the root cell itself. And we know that the tissues, the cells which are present in the root, that force are developed. And in active absorption, water is being absorbed through the expenditure of metabolic energy. For the absorption of the water and minerals from the soil, there is a requirement of metabolic energy. कोणतंही काम करण्यासाठी जशा पद्धतीने एनर्जीची गरज असते, it may be in the form of ATP. In that way, the water is absorbed with the help of metabolic energy in active water absorption. And active water absorption of water may occur in one of the two ways. Active absorption are again occur in two ways called theories of active water absorption, and that is called the theories of active water absorption. First is the osmotic theories, and second is the non-osmotic theories. Osmotic theories and non-osmotic theories. Then what about osmotic theories? Who put forth these theories? What is the important part in these theories? Then we have learned firstly the osmotic absorption theory. In that osmotic theories, this theory was proposed by Atkins. Atkins was one of the important or very great scientist, great physiologist. And in 1960, and his colleague, that is Priestley, in 1922. And according to या दोघांच्या मते, Atkins in 1960 and Priestley in 1922, and according to them, या दोघांच्या मते, the water is absorbed due to osmotic differences between soil water and cell sap. This is a very important statement given by Atkins and Priestley. What they told that the osmotic differences between soil water and cell sap. This is absorbed due to this osmotic difference between the soil water and cell sap. Then second point, they explain that root hairs are in contact with capillary soil water. Root hairs, we know that we are generally think that the water is absorbed by the root, Roots have root hairs. With the help of that root hairs and the capillary soil water system, the roots hairs are absorbed water and minerals. Then water moves from soil to the interior of the root. Water moves from soil to the interior of the root along an increasing osmotic gradient. What increases? Osmotic gradient is increased as the root wall is hydrophilic. The wall of that root is hydrophilic. What is hydrophilic? Water loving. It loves the water. The surface of the root loves the water, and therefore it is called as a hydrophilic nature of that root wall. Then what about next point? The root hairs have higher DPD. What is DPD? DPD is a diffusion pressure deficit. And OP, root hairs have higher DPD, and OP means osmotic pressure. But due to entry of water, DPD and OP means osmotic pressure decreases. When water enter inside the root, the osmotic pressure and diffusion pressure deficit decreases and the cell become turgid. आणि मग सेल फुगल्या जातात, become turgid, फुगीर बनतात. And root hair is what is root hairs? It is a epidermal cell modifications. It is a modifications of epidermal cells. Root hairs is nothing but it is a modification of the epidermal cell. Then next point about that is at this stage the cell sap of the root hair is dilute in comparison to the cell sap of adjoining cortical cell B, and thus DPD and OP means optical pressure, osmotic pressure of cortical cell is higher than epidermal root hair cells. In this way, and due to this, water enters in cortical cells. And due to this, what happens? Water enters in the cortical cells B from root hair cell A. Root hair cells A मधून root hair cells B मध्ये किंवा cortical cells B पर्यंत that water moves. And this process continues day by day and night. This process continues and ultimately water reaches from B to cortical cells to C, D, E, F, G and L and reaches the endodermal passage cells. And in this way it reaches to the endodermal passage cells from where water reaches at the xylem ducts. And then water reaches to the xylem ducts. Then as the diffusion of water continues, we know that diffusion of water continues from root hair to cortical cells. The optimal pressure, osmotic pressure and DPD of root hairs again decreases. Then capillary soil water again diffuses into the root hairs by osmosis and the process continues. In this way this process is continued and root pressure is developed to establish water column in xylem tissue from root to shoot and then leaf. And we know that in this way the water from soil is reached to the leaves. This is a cycle. We know that osmotic pressure and diffusion is a very important role in this overall process. Then there are some objections to these theories. And which are the objections to this theory? First objection is that xylem cells are dead. Some physiologists told that xylem cell is dead and without semipermeable membrane, and as this theory considers. Then second point is, or second objection is that root pressure is not sufficient to establish continuous water column. Means there is a less pressure is there in the roots, and that less pressure cannot sufficient for the movement of the water. And the last or the third point is that as for theory explanation, it does not require respiratory energy in this process. And where is the loss of energy or where is the utilization of energy? This theory cannot explain the requirement of the respiratory energy in details, and therefore this theory, there are some objections. Then what about non-osmotic theories? Another non-osmotic theories. What explained in that non-osmotic theories? In that non-osmotic theory, that theory was forwarded by or put forward by Thiemann in 1951 and Kramer in 1959. And according to them, Thiemann and Kramer, water absorption is an active process but occurs due to non-osmotic reserve against diffusion pressure gradient. And the intake of water according to these theories requires the expenditure of energy released by the respiration. Respiration में जो energy release होती है, that is utilization of that energy is there, or expenditure is of that energy is there. And how this energy is utilized, how this energy is utilized for water absorption is not well understood. We cannot understand very well. It may be used directly or indirectly. That maybe that energy is used directly or indirectly. And there are some points to support this theory, non-osmotic theories. Which are the supported points to this theory? First point is that respiratory inhibitors. Which are the respiratory inhibitors? Like potassium cyanide, that is KCl, inhibit the rate of respiration as well as absorption. Potassium cyanide is inhibitor and it inhibits the rate of respiration also as well as rate of absorption also. Then wilting of root occur. This is a supported point to this non-osmotic theory. Wilting of root occur in non-aerated soils such as flooded area. जब flooded area मध्ये पाहतो आपण, आपलं समजा तुरीची शेती आहे, तिथं पाणी ज्या साचलेलं आहे, त्या पाणी साचलेल्या ठिकाणी तुरीची विल्टिंग होते. That kajan is kajan going to wilt, and therefore this indicates that water is absorbed by living cells in aerobic conditions only. And like other metabolic activities, the water absorption also increases in the presence of hormones like auxins. Auxins सारखे जे काही hormones आहेत, that is also increases the metabolic activities of the plants, in the plants. Then what about passive water absorption? Water absorption takes place through the root rather than by the roots as in absorption. The forces governing water absorption originate in the transpiration shoot than root itself. These forces develop due to leaf transpiration. Means passive water absorption मध्ये transpiration have more importance. Then due to transpiration, DPD develops across the root cells to leaf cells. It puts these cells due to transpiration, DPD and OP, osmotic pressure, leaf cells increases. That results in the movement of water from the xylem cells that form continuous water column from leaves to root through xylem. And third point is that a gradient of DPD, diffusion pressure deficit develops across from root cells to leaf cells. It put these cells under tension, where there is no expenditure of respiratory energy, hence called passive absorption. There is no expenditure of respiratory energy because this is a continuous process, and it is a passive absorption of water. This is because the entry of water into the root is brought about by conditions which originate in the top of the plant, and the root cells play only subsidiary roles. Root cells plays only subsidiary roles, and the passive absorption of water is most acceptable view. There is no any objection. There is no need to support this theory. This is a most acceptable view, and passive absorption can occur independently in any activity of the roots. It takes independently. And last point in this, it is indicated by the fact that transpiring root shoot can absorb water through anesthetized or dead roots or even without any roots at all. In this way, today we have learned about the mechanism of water absorption with respect to crop plants. In that active absorption, passive absorption. In case of active absorption, there is osmotic and non-osmotic absorption. Then osmotic absorption is learned by Atkins in 1960 and his co-worker Priestley in 1922. The non-osmotic absorption is learned or studied by Theban in 1951 and Kramer in 1959. In this way, today we have learned about passive, active, all different types of absorption of water, the mechanism of water absorption in plant, in crop plants. In this way, we have completed this smallest article. Thank you.